For those that are in financial services, you probably heard the acronym IRA. Well, this IRA is an inventory of relational assets. And this is really while an IRA will help you in retirement, the inventory of relational assets, this IRA, your working or your relational IRA, that's what's going to help propel your business forward. Because, at Giftology, we believe that relationships will take you places that traditional marketing just can't. So doors will get open through relationships, but you've got to have a way to collect, organize, and prioritize those. And that's exactly what an inventory of relational assets is. We help you collect it, we help you organize it, and then we take you through a process of prioritizing those relationships. Because just like there's the Declaration of Independence that we live in a great country, and it says all people are created equal, which is true, but that not all people are equal in our businesses. So we try to help you understand how to engage different relationships in different ways, love on them all, but just in different ways that create better business results.
Welcome to Harry Handles It, a podcast where we dive into the world of personal growth, success strategies, and everything in between. I'm your host, Harry Nalbandian, and today we're going to chat with an incredible guest who has some amazing insights to share. Remember, no matter what life throws your way, I'm here to help you handle it. So let's get started.
Good morning, Brian. We have Brian McRae on the Harry Handles It podcast this morning, and he is a relationship strategist, a coach, a partner at Giftology, where he serves as the chief encouragement officer who amplifies the philosophy of strategic generosity. Brian, welcome.
Oh, Harry. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful for being here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up with in your position at Giftology.
Yeah, well, I'll try to be brief here, but I was working in. I'll go back just kind of chronologically from a professional standpoint. I was running a small IT training firm for an individual, and really had been there for a long period of time. I decided to get out of that industry. It was a lot of cold calling. I was teaching people, basically recruiting, developing sales professionals, and they were making 100 cold calls a day, and it was high turnover. But we'd had some success. We were the third fastest growing company in the city that I was in, but I just felt like something was missing. Two things. One, personally, I was getting burnt out. And number two, professionally, man, it just felt like a grind to teach people. And there was just a relationship aspect that was missing. So I left that. I had somebody who was recruiting me ended up getting into the mortgage industry, basically based off of a relationship. This guy believed in me and said that I could really do what I wanted to do in the mortgage industry. And I was looking for two things: freedom of time and money, really three things, and relationships. And so I got into the mortgage industry in 2002, and I started building my business based off relationships and had some success, became a top 1% originator. Now, by the way, I'm not here to talk about mortgages. That's not my, I didn't know anything about mortgages when I got into it, but I focused in on building relationships. And it just kept producing. It helped me continue to stack wins relationally. And I just saw that it kept opening doors. I think that's not a real revelation for for many business owners. But what really changed for me was in 2010, I was sitting at my kitchen counter trying to figure out what was next. Because, Harry, as you know, whenever we're self-employed or commission-based, performance-based pay, man, sometimes it's just the loneliest job in the world. And, we're always wondering where our next lead, referral, sale, client is going to come from. And I was sitting at my kitchen counter in 2010, and I just heard this little voice that said, inspire people. And that, I don't say that to brag about myself, because it's not about that, but I was encouraged to start an event shortly thereafter, and I did. And my point with all of that is that I started talking about teaching the individuals who were referring me in the mortgage space, financial advisors, CPAs, real estate agents, started teaching them how to build relationships that produced referrals that gave them the results that they were looking for in their business. And that event took off. We started getting a couple hundred people a month showing up. And then that led to a connection to, just like you're doing here, when you've got a platform that you can invite people to, it changes the game. And I invited a guy named John Ruhlin to come speak. He had written a book called Giftology. He came and spoke at this event that I was running, and we just hit it off. John's book, John founded the number one relationship agency in the world called Giftology, where just he showed people how to love on people, that built relationships, that opened doors and lead flow. So we really partnered on a program to help other professionals do that, which opened up an introduction to Armando, and then Armando connected us, and Harry, here I am today. So I just love talking about relationships, referrals, results, leadership, productivity, and that's what we do.
Awesome. Well, how does Giftology provide a system for nurturing those referral relationships or relationships you develop with other business professionals?
Harry, I loved your introduction. It was about personal growth and business development. And man, just congratulations on what you're running here, because I think providing value to other people is an amazing thing.
Thank you.
And so as it relates to giftology, the truth of the matter is, most business professionals, well, if you ask them to, if you're in a room full of 100 people and you said, hey, how many of you would like more referrals? They would all say yes. How many of you depend on referrals? They would say yes. 80% of the hands would go up in the room, because they all most of their business comes through referrals. But then when you say, keep your hand up if you've got a system for referrals, and the hands go down. That is because what we found is that there's a lot of people out there teaching people how to ask for referrals. It's the show up and ask, nag, or brag. And nobody likes doing it. So they just don't do it. And they don't have a system, so they feel stuck, and they end up feeling scattered and splattered because they just don't have a system. And so, you probably heard the James Clear said in his great book, Atomic Habits, he says, we don't rise to the level of our goals. Every sales professional, entrepreneur, service-based professional has these big goals about driving revenue, but they've all got big goals. But what James Clear said, we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. And if we don't have a relationship system that creates referrals, then we just get stuck. And that's what we've done at Giftology. We've created a solution for that. We call it referral partner transformation. And what it is it's just a process. So if you think about an operating system, there's a great organization out there called EOS. It's an operating system for entrepreneurs. I see you shaking your head. Everybody, most people have heard of it. It gives people an operating system to accomplish something. And so that's what we've done at Giftology. We've taken some basic principles and concepts that John, that he used to develop his business, and what I was using to develop my business. And we just kind of combined those and created an operating system, because we wanted to help transform the way business was done for small business owners, commission sales professionals, service professionals, so that they could really focus in on building relationships that produced, that opened up doors for them. And so we just give a very simple framework and showing people how to collect, how to organize and prioritize relationships, and then some very easy and implementable ways to engage and energize those relationships. So we give them frameworks with incredibly simple, easy to execute strategies that come across in authentic and intentional ways.
And is gifting a part of the process of nurturing or developing the process to nurture the relationships?
First of all, John Ruhlin, and for those, the book he wrote, his first book, Giftology, is all about using gifting to open up doors. And part of the Giftology solution for relationships absolutely involves gifting. But there's some strategic ways to do that. But what John found, and what I found when we started to work together and partnering, is there was not an operating system behind that. So what we did is we created the operating system, and then the gifting side of it becomes a way to engage and energize those relationships. So gifting absolutely becomes a part of it, but it can't be just gifting for bribing. It's gifting for the sake of gifting. And so that's one of the key components that John really implemented incredibly well.
And I mean, on that same topic, what is the idea or the concept of having an inventory of relational assets?
Well, Harry, first of all, it's a great question, because the inventory of relational assets, I mean, for those that are in financial services, you've probably heard the acronym IRA. Well, this IRA is an inventory of relational assets. And this is really what, while an IRA will help you in retirement, the inventory of relational assets, this IRA, your working or your relational IRA, that's what's going to help propel your business forward. Because at Giftology, we believe that relationships will take you places that traditional marketing just can't. So doors will get open through relationships, but you've got to have a way to collect, organize, and prioritize those. And that's exactly what an inventory of relational assets is. We help you collect it, we help you organize it, and then we take you through a process of prioritizing those relationships. Because well, there's the Declaration of Independence that we live in a great country, and it says all people are created equal, which is true, but that not all people are equal in our businesses. So we try to help you understand how to engage different relationships in different ways, love on them all, but just in different ways that create better business results.
That's a very great take on this. I mean, it's not something that a lot of business owners think about. Um, Sometimes we take those referral relationships for granted, right? I mean, you've seen that before.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, there's no question. It happens all the time, Harry. So,
and you come from a very unique background, because cold calling sales is a tough place. And to go from that to the referral based mortgage to doing
oh
what you're
yeah.
doing now, I mean, have you seen some mistakes that professionals have made when trying to build relationships? Like a couple common ones throughout the years?
Well, yeah. First of all, thanks. By the way, I'm not an expert in cold calling.
No,
I was just the coach that helped them. So,
hard
to
work.
your point, yeah, your point. It was hard, and turnover is high there. And I felt this hole in my heart, which is why I've been so passionate about one, building a business myself, and then candidly teaching other people how to build a relationship based business. So, common mistakes that I see from a lot of professionals. Here's what I hear. So I'll talk to somebody when I'm coaching somebody or trying to engage them or help them with their marketing side of thing. If they want to go down the relationship side, the first thing is I don't know who to talk to. The second biggest challenge is I don't know what to say. And that's what our operating system really helps. And it starts candidly with there's just three simple things. It's generosity, it's curiosity, and it's gratitude. So those are the things that we teach. Common mistakes that we see, though, around, first of all, they'll call anybody, they start asking, they start nagging, and they start bragging. And candidly, it's just a turnoff. And the referral partner or the people that you're talking to in these shoulder industries who come across your ideal client often, they get repelled by that. And it's just not a way to open doors, or at least that will last. You might find some transactional relationships that way. But what we found is that there's really three layers of loyalty. And when you go down the path of asking, nagging, and bragging, you get transactional loyalty, if you get anything at all. You're lucky if you start to engage things well, you'll get some habitual loyalty where people might start referring you just based off of habit. But the truth of the matter is where businesses where they really start to scale is when emotional loyalty comes into play. And that's what the operating system that we share with entrepreneurs, what that does is it creates an emotional loyalty that people will run through a wall. So whether it's employees for retention, creating emotional loyalty that make employees that don't want to leave, whether it's clients, making sure that clients feel loved on and create an emotional loyalty with clients, or whether it's these shoulder industries, these professions that come across your ideal client often and refer you clients consistently. So in those three, those three different arenas, utilizing strategies that are not asking, nagging, and bragging really help create that emotional loyalty when you can focus around generosity, curiosity, and gratitude. It really helps build that loyalty long term so that they continue to think of you.
That's very interesting. I never thought about the three different types of loyalties that you can have from the business relationships that law firms have. And it's interesting because in my mind, when we first started talking, I thought the inventory of relational assets would be for a law firm setting, other lawyers who would refer different types of cases to you. But having heard the type of relationships you can foster and nurture with current clients or prior clients, or even staff, now it seems like the inventory of relational assets expands way the umbrella is cast way wider than just referral partners who refer you cases.
You know, I'm going to really lean into John, which, I don't, for those that are listening to this, John Ruhlin, the best selling book, Giftology, is amazing. And there's another follow up book to that John wrote called Beyond Giftology. Unfortunately, as he was writing this, I don't know that Harry are just tying this in, but unfortunately, as we were partnering and launching all of this, John tragically passed away. So when you hear me stumble and try to figure out how to actually talk about John, it literally has been about a year. So as we've
My
launched
condolences.
this, no, first of all, thank you. But I will tell you that John's way of doing business. Do you mind if I share a quick story about John?
100%.
Here's an example. At John's celebration of life, last August of 2024, John was on a trip with his family and collapsed and wasn't able to. He was on a family vacation, collapsed, wasn't able to be revived. About a week after that, there was a celebration of life, and people from all over the country showed up for his celebration of life. I heard some of the most influential people in thought leadership step up to the stage that I didn't even know knew John. And they came up and just shared story after story after story about how John impacted their lives. And now, some amazing thought leaders. But I'm going to share one story. And John's oldest daughter, Reagan, stepped up to the microphone. And she just simply said, she went on to say what her dad meant to her. And here is a 14-year-old who just lost her dad, standing up as brave. And if you talk about a testament to the character that John provided, the leader that he was in the workplace, but also at home, his daughter stood up there with the biggest amount of courage and said, I don't really know what my dad did, but I do know this, is that he taught people how to love on people. And so, Harry, if there's one thing that John did, is that he knew that relationships mattered more than anything. And so he would always take the time to figure out what he could do to serve somebody. Gifting was just one of John's talents, that he knew how to gift and make people feel special. But the reality is that's just one strategy in a playbook that John's really put together in the book called Beyond Giftology. And so when you start to read that and you see systematically how John would go into the workplace and build relationships and open doors for other people, and what it returned for him was evidence at this celebration of life. And I don't know if that makes sense, but Harry, I just felt compelled to share that because, as it relates to opening up the doors and what we do, when we can love on people in ways, that's where generosity and the curiosity and gratitude, John just exuded those principles in everything that he did. And yes, gifting was absolutely a part of it, but it wasn't candidly, I would say that he was a bigger gift than his gifting was. So,
Man, thank you for sharing that story. It's always nice to hear that somebody can have such a big impact on not only their business, their family, but really across the world.
thank you, Harry.
So, how can, from your experience, emotional loyalty outperform some marketing campaigns where people spend millions of dollars?
Well, Harry, if you don't mind, I'm just going to use this as an example. I don't think I could, if I wanted to come and have access to your audience, which by the way, I'm grateful, but it was a relationship that opened this door. There's not there's no amount of money that I could have spent for you to reach out to me to have me as a guest on your podcast. Now that's just one small example, but doors open. And that's why at Giftology, we believe that relationships will take you places that traditional marketing just can't. When you love on people and create this desire at that emotional loyalty level, I think that was really your question. How does emotional loyalty outperform slick marketing campaigns?
Yeah.
That's what it does. Emotional loyalty gets people to where they want to help you. One example, I'll share a story from John's first book, and I can give you all kinds, but there's a story in there about Cameron Herold, who was the CEO. I might get the titles wrong. I won't get the names wrong. Cameron Herold, CEO of 1-800-GET-JUNK, got got junk was speaking at an event. John Ruhlin met him and introduced himself afterwards, asked him a few questions, and then asked if it would be possible that Cameron happened to be coming to the city that John lived in shortly thereafter. So John just said, "Hey, would it be possible for us to connect? I'll get tickets to a game." So Cameron said yes. Day comes that they're supposed to meet. The plane's late. Cameron's a CEO. John's thinking, you know what? He's not going to be interested in going to a game. He gets tickets and invite. How can I create an experience for him that lets him know how much I appreciate him and his time? John, literally, one of the questions he had asked him is what his shirt size was. Cameron thought he was going to get some, branded t-shirt from John. Well, the truth of the matter is John quickly pivoted, knew that his plane was going to be late, went to the hotel, was at the hotel waiting for him, but he had, in the meantime, had gone to Brooks Brothers and ordered one of every size in the fall collection, because what he did is he heard Cameron speak from stage that he loved Brooks Brothers. He ordered one of everything, went to the manager at the hotel and said, "Can we create an experience for one of the top coaches in the world?" The Ritz said yes. They opened up the door. They outfitted Cameron's room like a Brooks Brothers store. Cameron comes in, says, "Man, basically says, I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to go to the game. Let me go up. I'll freshen up. Let me come back down and I'll see what, we'll see what we're going to do from there." Kind of, John's disappointed. He's thinking, "Oh man, I hope, and he, by the way, he's just spent about $7,000 to outfit this room." And Cameron comes back down and says, "Man," he goes, "I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want to talk about, but let's can the game and let's just talk. You got me for as long as you need me." And it opened up a relationship with Cameron that literally Cameron learned about John, took an interest in him, and just started building a relationship. Ended up one of being John's biggest ambassadors, opened up doors for him to get on stages that he never could have gotten on with millions of dollars of advertising. So that's probably the big, I'm trying to honor John with some of these stories because the stuff that he did was bigger than life. But that's just one example in his first book, Giftology.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge example. There's no amount of marketing that can replace that kind of, that level of loyalty.
To be honest with you, Harry, the emotional loyalty that is rallying around John. By the way, he's got 4 daughters, his wife, Lindsay. The amount of people that have surrounded the emotional loyalty that John created, that are the people that are rallying around him to make sure that Giftology, if you take a look at who's endorsed the newest book, Beyond Giftology, who's promoted it, it's amazing the number of people that want to be a fan of John's and support him, even when he's not here. And that's, in my opinion, that's what legacy is all about.
That's huge. Now, what's the Rich Relationship Society?
Yeah, well, Rich Relationship Society is a program that we've created to really help small business owners, commission sales professionals, really individuals who want to build a business around relationships. They fundamentally believe that with everything going on, yes, there's a lot of technology out there, but they fundamentally believe that they want to focus. They relentlessly want to pursue relationships, and we want to give them the operating system to do that. So the first thing that's in there is a program called Referral Partner Transformation. So we give individuals the programming, the operating system to really build out their relationships so they can start loving on these individuals and showing them how much they care before they ask for anything, the truth of the matter. And so what we do is we map all that out. And then the Rich Relationship Society, so there's the program inside of that is Referral Partner Transformation. And then we surround that with a community, we surround that with coaching, and then we surround that, we're actually working on a technology plug-in that's going to be able to help people organize and prioritize their relationships, tell them exactly what to do and when. So that's what the Rich Relationship Society is. It's a philosophical, it's a psychographic of people from all different industries that are relationally focused and are putting the stake of their business on relationships, not on traditional marketing.
Well, this was very insightful, Brian. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for having this conversation, hearing the stories about you and stories about John. How can our listeners find out some more information about you, about Giftology? How can they get in touch? and if they need any help.
Yeah, first of all, Harry, I just want to say thank you for what you're doing and the value you're adding to your community, and for having me here. Again, I'm humbled, and I appreciate you asking. If anybody heard anything that moves them and they want more information, it's really simple. It's www.rpt, so referral partner transformation. So RPT Brian, BRIAN.com. So they can go there. It'll give them some information on the community, what we're doing, the program that we have, and they can get all the information that they want there, and also other ways to engage us if we can support them in any way.
It's awesome, Brian. Thank you again. Really appreciate you having on, and I hope we can carry this conversation forward and keep on giving.
I'm honored, Harry. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us today on Harry Handles It. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and found some valuable takeaways. If you're facing challenges in your own life or business, remember that you're not alone. Together, we can handle anything that comes our way. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you liked what you heard. Until next time, keep pushing forward and handling life with confidence.